Hello and welcome back to Vooper Vlogs on a particularly nasty day. I'm your host, Emperor Spike Viper, and we've got Charlotte going on a walk. Charlotte apparently doesn't like mud, which is hilarious. A dog that doesn't like mud. She does not like walking through mud. I guess she doesn't have boots like I do, so I can't really complain. Ooh, it's really starting to rain. Anyways, let's talk about something that's been on the mind of science fiction and actually even people in ancient times, the idea of eternal life or eternal youth. Those are kind of different. You know, you could live forever as like a withered husk of yourself, or you could live as like a healthy young individual. I don't think it really matters which we're talking about in this context. We're just going to assume that eternal life means you won't die of natural causes, right? Who cares what you look like? You don't die of disease and you don't die of age. I think that's a fair definition. And this has been all the way back to ancient times with things like the Fountain of Youth and the Philosopher's Stone. People have been thinking about this concept, and it actually is a large part of Vooperian politics, especially in my book Vooper, where the Senate and Emperor and important individuals do not age. They have been given access to the technology that lets them live forever, while the common person, there was a deal struck where they doubled the lifespan of the average person, but they did not allow them all to live forever because of obviously resource constraints and the ethical issues it brings up. And there's probably even more ethical issues considering limiting it to specific people. Something that could probably happen in real life. I wouldn't be surprised if we discovered, you know, how do you regulate that? Will we have people in back alleys administering the elixir of life? And the government trying to scope it out? That would be a very interesting drug pandemic. Very backwards from what we're used to. Trying to block something that makes you healthier. But I think it's a very interesting topic. Some people, which I actually find shocking, some people say, you know, I wouldn't want to live forever. I'm actually going to hard pass on that. I'm going to say, yeah, screw it, I would. I have a lot of things I want to do, and I don't think I can fit it all into a single lifetime. I mean, imagine being able to try every employment option, being able to try every kind of art and create cool things. I mean, there'd be no limit to what you can do. I guess some people, though, feel like that's too long. That's too long and awful, and some people feel like life drags on too long as it is, so living forever probably isn't as attractive to them. But all right, if it keeps raining, I may have to turn around really early. But when it comes to it, you know, the idea of living forever is very attractive on the surface. I think most people are very afraid of the idea of death, and not only that, but it's uncertainty we're really afraid of, just the not knowing. I think if we knew what happened when we died, it would be a lot less spooky. Unless it was like getting sent to a chamber full of spiders. In which case, it would still be very spooky, and I would very much not like it. I don't like the idea of death in the first place. Sometimes, you know, you're going to sleep and you think about it like, oh shit, at some point this is gonna end. And that feeling of existential dread, at least I get it. Maybe not everyone, but I get like a feeling of existential dread and like, oh shit, that's not good. I mean, I think the concept of living forever, there are issues, like I said before, especially ethical issues about resources. But I think one of the more interesting things is thinking about how equitable it'll be. Wrapping back around to Vooper and the idea of some people getting access. Should we allow some people to live forever? Like the greatest thinkers, the best artists, the people who really shape the world? Should we keep them around? Or is that unfair? Should we not be able to choose that stuff? Humans generally decide to take on things that we don't understand and kind of just wave away the ethical concerns. I mean, think about like the nuclear bomb and stuff. If there's a question if we should do something, we kind of just ignore it and do it anyways and think about the consequences later. But that may not, when it comes to something like this, I mean, in Vooper, there's almost a revolution over the decision that's reached, which is to not give the technology to everyone because of the concerns. And in real life, curious if, I wonder if we would reach the same point. I mean, I think a lot of people would argue against it. Like, even now we have people who argue that our lives are too cozy and long as it is, and we're destroying the environment, and we need to reduce the human population. And I'm sure they would be very, very against something to make you live forever. I mean, it's basically going in the exact opposite direction. But by the time we had technology like that, maybe it would be a post-scarcity world. I mean, you never know. If we're talking about super future technology that solves all health issues, then possibly we also solve food and water insecurity and power, and then at that point, maybe it is okay to just live forever, because as long as the universe is infinite and we can just keep colonizing new places, then I guess we never run out of room for ourselves. Just trillions of humans living across the galaxy. But I know some of them among you will go, yeah, but eventually you'll run out of space, and that's an interesting question to get into. I assume that at some point people would choose to end their lives. They'd just be able to choose when. There'd probably be a very interesting rule set about that as well. If you know any books or media or movies that relate to this topic, well, you should say it in the comments, and I'll go watch them as well. Because it is a very... Oh. Okay, I thought it was about to start pouring, but that was just the sound of the stream. So, continuing, yeah, I find media concerning this interesting, especially because I'm kind of making my own. Obviously, I can't spoil Vooper too hard. There are some interesting side effects from the technology and some secrets that won't come up until later that I want to write in the first draft of the book. There's going to be a second draft as well where I'll basically rewrite the whole thing. But the first draft of the book, I am planning on hitting these questions and actually having a little bit more interest in going one layer deeper, and you'll see how that's done. Not for a while though. I want it to be kind of like a big reveal. But yeah, in the future, if everyone lived forever, I guess we would kind of choose when to end, and I guess some people probably would choose never. You'd have your people who just exist forever with their extended great grandchildren, you know. Live to the point where your descendants can fill cities. Your country is just all people related to you. You go settle your own planet. Or you got the people who just want to live a natural lifespan. Choose to end it after like 100 years and just happy with where they got. Very interesting, and I think the main concern would be like, oh, the poor people are obviously going to be at a disadvantage, but I don't know, post-scarcity society, maybe the whole money thing is figured out by then. Maybe it's not even necessary. And Vooperia currency and stuff is obviously a thing, but it's heavily implied that the average, just like in real life, as time goes on, the average person has a better life and the poorest person is richer than they would have been. So I think in Vooperia there'd still be like slummy areas, but it wouldn't be like slums like we have now. It would be like being stuck with 21st century technology, which to most of you is like, that's fine, but in the future that would be, you know, crummy. Yeah. It's an interesting question with a lot of potential answers. Would you do it? How long would you want to live if given the opportunity? Would you go the full way? Just go as long as you can until an asteroid hits your planet and you die of an unnatural cause? Because obviously, I mean, I feel like an accident or something will kill most people at some point. Even with fantastic technology, I mean, like, there's nothing you can do about like a freak car accident or natural disaster or something. And well, most of us nowadays don't worry about that stuff. It's like such a tiny percentage when you think about it in terms of if you were living for thousands and thousands of years, you would not only live through crazy things, you would live through a lot of crazy things. And then there comes the question of war, you know. Vuperia, known for imperialism and growing the country, going to war with anything in its path. I mean, there is a very high possibility that throughout your life you will be a part of a military excursion, and in that case you could die in combat. I wonder if more people would volunteer for combat roles or less, because if you've lived a very long and fulfilling life, maybe you're more likely to put it on the line. But then again, if you're risking a potential forever, then maybe you're less likely. See, these are the interesting questions. It's like, there's no way to know. We're going to turn around now a little bit early, just because with the rain, I don't want Charlotte to get too cold. I mean, it's warmer today than it usually is, but yeah, with fur, I don't know how the rain does. She does be trying to go fast though, so maybe that's a sign that she wants to head home. Look at her go! Look at her go! Look at her go! Charlotte can. One day I'll stick the camera on her. I have the rig, you know this because I did the You Are My Dog video. But one day I'll put the rig on her for this walk, and we'll have a nice talk from Charlotte's perspective. So I'm not sure. my shoes or walking would be a lot louder and my voice would probably be a lot quieter, but I'll figure it out. What could possibly go wrong? What could possibly go wrong? Anyways, this one's gonna be a little bit shorter than usual because, like I said, it's kind of nasty and I'm trying to get back, but I think it's a lot of stuff to think about. Leave your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you for joining us on this excursion, and see you all next time. Oh, are you gonna attack? You gonna attack them? Yes. Peace out. Hail Vuperia.